This film also had the creepiest Santa. And you could,
oh my god,
yes!
We need to find the fourth dimension, and by finding all these tiny little perfect things that happen in our neighborhood or in our town or whatever, we're gonna find the fourth dimension, and we're missing one. I'll pick Andrew Garfield. Peter 3.
Peter 3.
Ooh, that comic book filter.
This green ball?
This green tennis ball is Vecna,
Yes.
yeah. We're talking about Chippendales the dancers, right? Not
Yeah.
Chippendales the chipmunks? Okay, I was just making sure. I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about. This is how we do it. This is how we do it.
Well, now it's official. We're back at the podcast because I fucking yawned. Oh my god.
Your body's like, oh, okay, we're back into podcast mode. Here we go.
Yep. Right. It's just like, all right, we're in this, ready to go. Hello, Cinema Peeps.
Hey, Cinema Peeps.
Yes, welcome back. We've had another long break. Yeah. I don't know.
What?
I don't know where else I was leading with this, but it's great to be back. Great to be back and chatting with my buddy.
Heck yeah.
My bestest buddy. I mean, even though we haven't been recording episodes, we've obviously been chatting.
Yes.
And we were talking a lot about how Kendra was like, hey, we should watch Halloween movies. Because we always do Hallmark movies. So we're like, let's watch some Halloween movies. And we found this awesome, I took a picture of
Nightmare on it's the account is Nightmare on Film Street.
Yes, thank you.
But they do a 31 days of Halloween horror movie challenge. So they did one last year. I don't know how long they've been doing this for, but I stumbled upon it last year.
Yes.
And then we decided that we were going to try and maybe do our own version of it. And then they did a different one, or like they released another one this year with different prompts.
Yes.
And so yeah, we were going to try and do something with it.
Yes, because we discussed that, yes, that would be cool to do 31 movies, but knowing our track record, that would be impossible.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, I don't know about you. Like, I love horror movies, but I don't think I could stomach one every single day of the month. Like, I need a break after a while, you know? Otherwise, it starts to mess with your mind a little bit.
Yeah. Well, even, like, I was trying to think, like, I don't know if I could watch something, like... Could I watch something? I mean, I could think like TV shows. I could watch watch an episode like every day.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't imagine watching like any kind of genre movie for that period of time.
Right?
Because at one point I'd be like, okay, my brain is it's melting. It's not functioning. I need to do something else.
Yeah.
To like, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Get the little gray brain cells to do stuff, you know.
need a reprieve, especially because
yeah.
I mean, as with all forms of art, like they're designed to make you feel a certain emotion, and so horror in specific is supposed to make you feel scared. It's supposed to, you know, play on your fears.
Right.
So if you're constantly watching stuff that scares you, and even if you don't get that affected by scary movies, still, like, it's dark. It can be depressing, it can be sad, it can be scary, it could be intense. It's a lot of, you know, you need a reprieve every so often.
Mm-hmm. I think I told you I was having a lot of nightmares of like being murdered by like Michael and like Booba from like Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, after a while and I mean, I was just thinking because I had another dream that we were playing Dead by Daylight and we were facing a Bubba, but it was in like a busy mall. So trying to imagine looping a killer while there's other people in the mall. It was a packed ass mall.
Damn.
It was intense. It was an intense dream.
That'd be a interesting plot for a movie, actually.
Mm-hmm. But of course, no one else was like screaming, being like, "Oh my god, there's this man running around with a chainsaw." Yeah. It was just like me running around going, and all these people are just doing their mall stuff, like having a ball.
You're like, does nobody else see this?
I know, I was freaking out, but apparently everyone else was just, you know, whatever. This is a regular Tuesday for me.
Regular Tuesday.
Like, what of it?
Yeah. No, it's true. That stuff will creep into your psyche. I used to kind of like giggle at that, like, because some of my friends would say they'd watch like Arrow or something before bed, and they're like, yeah, I started having like intense crazy dreams about it, I can't watch that before bed anymore. And I'd be like, huh, it doesn't bother me. But even like you saying that, and just last night I watched Wednesday, like the show Wednesday on Netflix, and I had a dream about it too. It just creeped into my psyche, and it's like, yeah,
Right.
it happens.
And sometimes it takes time to creep back in.
Yeah.
I guess that depends. Like, we should on a random note, we should do like a whole dream. I think we've talked before. We should do a dream analysis episode.
We should. That sounds like a great
Even
idea.
of like just like interpreting dreams, but I also like this, like there's science behind it too.
Yeah,
so
the
I would,
science behind it is
I would like to
interesting.
do a little of both, you know.
Okay, I will put that in the notes for future.
I will put that in the idea pot.
In the idea box.
But sorry, back on track. So yes, this Fear Street account, yeah, for 31 days they have basically like slightly generic, but obviously like on theme prompts, so you can pick whatever Halloween movie you want to watch.
Yeah.
So I think our goal was we were going to try to use some of the prompts they at least had, and we were going to pick at least 10, maybe. And I think I've watched 2 so far.
Nice.
To be fair, I haven't even, like, I kind of made like a loose idea of what I wanted to watch, but I haven't like wrote a list down.
Right, yeah, me neither.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
We're on
Same
brand.
page.
We're on brand.
Love it. Loving it. Because yeah, back in September, I watched Trick or Treat.
Yeah, you did.
Because again, when we found this list, we were like, oh, so I ended up looking up a list of like what horror movies to watch during the season.
Yeah.
You know, and that was one of the ones on there, and I was like, huh. Okay. And it just happened to be on TV, like, I don't know, a couple days after we chatted. So I was like, okay, why not? And I was like, it's during the day. I'm safe. I'll be fine. And yeah, that movie was a trip. That was a trip and a half. I was like,
yeah.
oh my God.
It most definitely is.
And again, I am a firm believer of like trying to watch a whole movie in one sitting. But that one, I was like, you know what? I could take a break and go for another walk and have dinner and sleep and then come back to it later.
Yep.
Because... woof.
Oh yeah, it's wild. I remember a lot
Woof.
of people making a big fuss about it back in the day when it came out, and me watching it and being like, I don't get it. What?
Like people were scared, or
yeah, like they were like, this movie's so good, you need to watch it, it's the best. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay, I like
Ooh.
scary, spooky movies. And then I watched it and I'm
Oh.
like, am I missing something?
I just all right, well, let's discuss.
Okay, let's go. Let's dive into this.
So for a very basic synopsis that I think I even read on the IMDb, reliable page, is that the Trick or Treat movie is a 5-story collective thing where they say the stories are interwoven. I would like to argue right now they are not, but sure, whatever, we'll go with it. So I guess... what was the fucking show I was thinking of? Like Tales from the Crypt, that's the kind of thing I think they were going for. They were trying to go for like a bunch of like little stories, I guess, and in their words, interwoven, which I would hard disagree not. Just
Yeah.
because a character shows up does not mean they're interwoven into each other.
Yeah.
To me, that means effects from one story affect another story in some capacity. Just
Yeah.
because they're there does not mean anything.
Yeah.
But whatever. And literally, I think I only watched it because I saw Anna Paquin's name, so I was like, cool beans. Cool beans. But yeah, I just thought it was really, like, I don't know, like, it wasn't really scary to me. Was there weirdly uncomfortable moments? Absolutely. When the kids go trick-or-treating and there's like a sex party happening and they're like, do you want to come inside for the sex party? And I was like, what? No? Or in the first little opening bits where the principal murders that kid and then is trying to bury him in the backyard. And I was like, what the fuck? And he's just like, to be fair, again, this is where the confusion happened. He was, this like little shit kid was being a little shit. He was destroying pumpkins, and then some people, they're like, just take one. Like, they leave candy out for people, and he was taking all of it.
Yeah.
This principal guy catches him, and so he feeds him. He's like, oh, keep eating. And then this kid just starts vomiting on his stairs. And to me, it looked like chocolate. I was like, this kid, he had, I was wondering if the principal slept. No, he did not sleep. Nope.
Rewind, delete.
Rewind. That he had slipped like X-Lax or something in the candy, and he just had too much of it, so he was vomiting. I know that's not the effect of X-Lax, but I thought it was something along those lines. But it turns out he was vomiting blood, which was not clear to me, because then when he started burying him in the backyard, I was like, oh, I guess he's dead. Okay, sure. And then there was fucking Brian, the neighbor, who was being a little shit too, and then it looked like he was getting murdered. Like, the town's weird. It's fucking weird.
Yeah.
And, like, so many people were dying. But I was like, okay. All right. So I think here's the root of my problem. Okay? Here's the root of my problem.
Okay.
When they're like, yes, these are 5 interwoven stories, you know, again, I thought there would actually be more woven, like, you know, things into it.
Some sort of connected, like, plot underneath or theme that's, like, connecting everything, yeah.
Right, but it just kind of felt like they wanted to do, like, dabble into each little kind of, like, trope of, like, horror films, but because they didn't have enough time to flesh any of them out, they're all very watered down, and it just left me with a lot of questions. Because, again, all these people are getting murdered, and I'm like, okay, this, in the opening, it talked about how this town was, like, a Halloween-esque town, so, like, my mind, like a Salem kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but all these people are dying. Does anybody, like, not go, huh? It's weird how every Halloween we have many murders happen. Like, at least 10 people are dying on this holiday alone. Maybe we should do something about it. But apparently they don't give 2 shits. They're just going to have a lovely parade downtown and have this girl who's just laying on the street dying, and no one's going to give a shit. But I'm like, okay. So I think, my biggest issue was, like, because they were also watered down, I just had so many questions. And I was like, the logistics of this does not work. I can't. And again, I know we talk about sometimes you kind of have to throw disbelief out the window, but I had a hard time doing that with this film. I was like, I'm having a real tough time.
Right?
Because they kept showing that little kid with, like, the fucking sack over his head.
Yeah.
And I thought, again, maybe through some of these stories we would learn some background about him, but I guess he's just, like, I don't know, the essence of Halloween. I don't know, because it's not fucking explained. He's just there.
Yeah.
Because there was another one of the stories where these kids go to this bus crash that supposedly happened in, like, I don't know, everything that happens in horror movies, like the 70s or 80s or something. And he's in the flashback. So I'm like, or is he just, like, some sort of, like, not a demonic, but, like, an evil omen of, like
right?
death about to
like
happen?
Like the curse or something, yeah.
Right? But then, near the end of the movie, he attacks the old man neighbor, who turns out to be the bus driver of these kids who die, and he attacks him. And then, and to be fair, in the beginning of the movie, he attacked a random girl. But it's like, okay, so then he's a very more active spirit. Like, he can't be really like a death omen if he's also creating death. So, like, again, I had so many questions. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Right?
And this film was just like, whatever. And then they tried to be kooky sometimes, and I was like, this just doesn't vibe. What is happening?
Right?
Because, again, these kids go down to, like, the fucking bus, this canyon type thing where this bus has, you know, been sunk, and then they trick this other poor girl, I don't know why, to make her upset, and then, like, I guess the dead kids rise and they attack the other kids and eat them, and she escapes.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I was like, okay, I guess that happened. Like, I feel kind of bad that they died. I don't think they deserved to die. Like, maybe the one girl, because she was kind of a bitch. But, like, I was like, I don't see why the other guys had to die. But, okay. I guess we're going with that.
Right.
I was also happy that I was really worried Anna Paquin was going to die. But it turns out, no, her and her sister are werewolves. And I was like, well, that's kind of cool.
I was like, where the hell did that come from?
I mean, again, I enjoyed it. But, again, it was so watered down. I was like, oh. But it reminded me a lot of The Quarry when they were, like, peeling off their skin. I was like, oh, yeah, that's just like The Quarry.
Yeah.
But then they made it, like, really sexual, and I got very uncomfortable. Because she, like... Because, again, these interwoven stories, the principal who, like, killed the child is Anna Paquin's victim at this, like, werewolf rave party, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. And she's like, it's my first time. And I was like, this is so what? Like, just the like, I didn't care that they were ripping off their skin and like becoming, I was like, whatever, I'm cool with that. I fucking love werewolves. But like, yeah, I was just like really uncomfortable. I was like, oh, I don't like this at all.
I feel like we'd have to. I'm sure if anybody's watching this who's a fan of the movie, is probably screaming at us right now, being like, "Grr," but like I feel
There's
like you'd
fans?
have to burn. No, if you like if you wait, like we'd have to do some research on the lore behind the movie, because again, I could be pulling this out of my ass, but I feel like I heard someone say somewhere it's based off a graphic novel, maybe.
And you know what? I would believe that because the intro and ending had like, graphic novel pages,
right,
and I was like, how does this tie into anything? I was like, is it because they're interwoven stories that suck?
Suck. Yeah, so I think that is probably a thing. But yeah,
and like I don't think you're pulling that out of your ass. I would believe it.
Okay.
I would believe it.
As per usual, we came very highly underprepared for this.
I think we became super prepared. I don't know what you're talking about. And I think I was hurt that this list said it was like a recommend, like you should watch. I'm like, are you sure about that?
Well,
there's
still merch being made about it too. Like there's T-shirts and stuff, and I'm like, so clearly there's a cult following around this movie.
There must be,
but it's just not for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think again my problem with if you're gonna introduce something of like, hey, these are stories that are interwoven. Like I would like to see that developed, because again, I was also interested about this bus crash and these kids and how this plays a role, but really it just didn't.
Yeah.
So like the only way I can justify it in my brain is that yes, these are just like the filmmakers trying to dabble in multiple different genres of horror,
right,
and pretending to mash it together.
See, and nowadays I feel like that could be a cool opportunity for a series, like a Netflix series, or like some sort of like they could easily flesh that out more in. I don't know if they've thought of that or if that's in the works or whatever, but I feel like they could probably, if there was one, because I know that there's like an Exorcist one that happened. There's a couple other horror movies that they've kind of like turned into a series. Like this could totally be one that they could do. And if it's based off a graphic novel, I'm sure there'd be a lot of people who'd find that interesting.
Right. But I gotta say, I was gonna say 0 to 10. I shouldn't be that mean. I would just say like, this is, I don't know, not a good start, that's for sure. Not a good start, and I would not recommend people watching it, but hey, do what you want, I guess. Do what you want.
Yeah.
Whatevs.
To each their own.
Right. But I did follow it up a couple days ago by watching Friday the 13th on Friday the 13th. So, that felt a little better.
Did you watch the old Friday the 13th or the remake Friday the 13th?
The old one.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
Yeah, because that's another thing, because there's so many. I'm like, I'm just going to go with the first one and just, And, I mean, I found it very interesting just because, again, like I said, I don't watch a lot of horror, but I dabble in at least, like, the pop culture sense of it.
Yeah.
So, like, we all kind of know who Jason looks like, and I just always thought it was, like, a slasher type genre, so it's interesting to go back to the very beginning where it's clearly like more of a thriller. And like as I like the creepy like peeping Tom camera angles, which I don't know, I just always think they're funny.
Yeah,
especially because like some of them, like the characters like are literally like not even 2 feet away from them. It's like, how do you not see this person? So that's like the one thing I might ding it on, is the fact that they sometimes would use it as like Jason Voorhees, like mom's like perspective of like watching these people.
Yeah. But
then sometimes I guess it wasn't, because like I said, they're so close. There's no fucking way you can't tell me you see someone staring at you from right there. There's
right.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
So there's a couple times I was like, okay, I think you guys, that's not good, but whatever. Yeah. I mean, that was like a very minor complaint.
Yeah.
I did enjoy this CGI, the special effects makeup when some people got stabbed, and you can clearly tell that like the thing I'm thinking of right now is when Kevin Bacon gets like stabbed through the throat. Yeah. slash chest, which, don't get me wrong, painful as shit. Because I was like, oh, but I was like, oh, wait a second. Like, you can see, like, where his head is, and clearly they, like, made a bust
Yeah.
of, like, his shoulders to here. Because, like, the color's not quite right.
Yeah.
But, like, I enjoyed it.
Right?
There was one, though, I wonder, where a girl got an axe in her head, but she kind of, like, faced most of it away. So I was like, see, that's better. Like, you don't quite see it. So,
yeah,
like,
it doesn't really ruin the effect.
it works. And then
Yeah.
all the dummies, like, I don't know. It was funny. I found it funny. But then it was, like, a real slow burner, again, of, like, a thriller of, like,
It is.
all these people getting killed off. And I like the idea of, like, they weren't, like, sure. They're just like, oh, they're at their camper or whatever, right? Until, like, the final girl is the one having to, like, fight off. But this woman just comes out and she goes, oh, hey, I'm a family friend. And then 2 seconds later, I'm the killer. I'm like, wow, that took a pivot. That was, or the whiplash on that was wild.
Right?
So it did feel funny that, like, they were building up to something and just to be like, psych.
Right? Just to get that one last scare in.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. Was it earned? I don't know. But, like,
I mean, yeah. I feel like I would say if you feel up to the task, you should at least try and watch the next one for sure, but, like, the next couple, just to, like, get more of the story fleshed out.
That's what I kind of want. I figured, like, the story's got to get more, because, again, they have a part 2, and it's like, well, how do you have a part 2? So
right.
we'll have to see.
Yeah, but I think, yeah, that's my favorite part about watching the older scary movies, is just seeing the creativity, or just, like, what they had to do to try to get, like, the effect, like the special effects and stuff. Like, as corny as they look now, like, it's just, like, it's cool to see what they had to come up with to make the effect look real.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think there's some stuff that still holds up and still works.
Yeah.
But like I said, like, maybe it's just because, you know, because that came out 1980. So we have what? Like 40 plus years of special effects makeup, special effects in general that have just, like, you know, become, like, better and better.
Yep.
You know, to make things creepier and creepier, more unsettling.
Right. Well, and a lot of these horror movies too were very low budget. Like the Halloween movie, like Michael Myers, that they were, like, super low budget. So it's cool to even just hear. I don't know if you've seen. You should actually probably find it interesting now that you're watching, like, with Friday the 13th and stuff. There's the. Oh my gosh, what's the name of the title? It's that Netflix series where it's, like, the movies
How
that
It's Made.
Us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like something like that. And they do one on scary movies, and I think Friday the 13th is one of them, but Halloween for sure is one. And
Yeah,
it's
I'll
cool
check
showing
Netflix.
how they do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be. Yeah, I think I'd be very interested in that.
Nice.
I think my last comment, yeah, again, it's interesting, again, how the beginning of this is, like, more of a thriller. So, again, we don't have, like, Jason's iconic mask and stuff yet.
Yeah.
So I would, yeah, be interested to see, like, how long it takes to develop that aspect of Jason and see how that kind of rolls along.
It's been a long time since I've seen the first one, but they still have the ch in the first one, right? Yeah. Okay.
It's so uncomfortable. I was like, what the fuck? That's so funny. But yeah, I think overall, like, I enjoyed my time watching it.
Excellent. I'm glad.
Like, yeah, it has, like, its little, like, from today's standards, like, again, maybe a little cheesy, a little corny here and there, but there are a couple times where it's like, oh yeah, this would be uncomfortable. This would be very unsettling. You know. But yeah, I'll definitely check out the Netflix thing and see if it's on there.
Yeah, I feel like you'd enjoy it. It's pretty cool.
Hell yeah. Hells yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, so I guess out of 10 movies, if we're watching 10, I've watched 2 now, so.
Perfect. Hey, great.
Doing
Excellent.
great. And then my plan is, if it works out, because I think Halloween falls on a Tuesday.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so my plan is maybe to watch Halloween on Halloween.
Hell yeah. Nice.
But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, have you managed? I'm trying to remember. I thought you sent me something, but maybe I'm going crazy. I thought you sent me that you were watching one.
Yes, I have been watching a few. Right now
30.
I'm like right now I've like been I have like so many that I want to watch, and so I have to like like you said, I have to like compose a list of stuff so that I can like start planning out which ones to watch. But right now I've been doing a marathon of the Conjuring universe.
Ooh.
Which has been pretty cool because like the first Conjuring's always been my favorite. It's definitely in my top 5 favorite horror movies of all time. It's really well done. It's super spooky. And then like all the other ones are good too, but I feel like maybe because at the time I was getting a little jaded by horror movies, or just like like, you know, it was kind of like, oh, okay, you know, this isn't scary anymore, blah blah blah. I don't remember enjoying the other ones as much. So having had time away and now like coming back and watching all of them like one after another, it's been actually pretty fun to watch. And going back and seeing them now, I'm like, oh, you know what? This is actually not as bad as I remember it being at the time. So clearly I was just being a grouch. But yeah, so because there's, I guess technically with the Nun 2 coming out now, there's 8 movies in the Conjuring universe. There's the 3 Annabelle movies, the 3 Conjuring movies, the 2 Nun movies, and then there's also the Curse of, I can't remember how you pronounce it, La Llorona. The Curse of La Llorona. Sure.
Yeah. Sounds like a piece of IKEA furniture, but yeah.
Right? Yeah, no, that one's also part of the universe too, which was cool because I had never seen it. I had heard about it when it came out, but I didn't realize it was part of the universe. Like, yeah, it's like apparently the spin that they're taking on this one. Like, I've heard of the legend of like the Weeping Woman. It's like an urban legend. I don't know if it actually originated in Mexico. Or if this is like a version that's like told in like Mexican urban legend spooky stuff. But this one was centered around like a Latino family, and yeah, just like that whole kind of legend. But yeah, it was not too bad actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, it wouldn't surprise me, just especially when you start learning about like certain like monsters and like myths, how like a lot of different cultures, even before we all kind of started mingling, have like their own versions of like genies or dragons and stuff like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was like, yeah, some kind of folklore or tale very similar. So then yeah, they can kind of utilize and or like explore more from like a different lens.
Yeah.
Which honestly, dope.
Right.
Although when you were talking about Weeping Woman, just remind me of that short film I did, Lo Siento? No. Yeah, that one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Or we had our creepy woman character, but she's actually really nice. In real life. The ghost in the short film, no. She was killing people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what, when you started talking about Weeping Woman, that's what it reminded me of.
Nice. And see, it reminded me of, because the pilot episode of Supernatural is about the woman in white, which is essentially a weeping woman. And the tale that they're telling in this Curse of La Llorona is very similar, where it's about a woman who, in a fit of jealous rage, murders her children because the husband's cheated on them or like run away with another lover kind of thing. And so she's doomed to roam the earth, haunted by her children, and like, you know, just, yeah, she's constantly crying because of her guilt and her shame and everything like that. This particular one in the movie, she's dressed as a bride. But in Supernatural, she's just got like a white dress on and stuff. So even then too, like, again, I'm not sure if Mexico is the original origin of that legend, but it's cool that they did something similar in Supernatural. And I do know that the writers had definitely done their research on different folklore and urban legends and stuff like that. So even you saying like, it's neat how certain countries and certain cultures have different takes on different legends. It's cool that Supernatural was kind of able to like take from those and do that within the show as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And our lady was also wearing white.
Oh, you should ask if it was an influence from that urban legend.
I think.
Or do you know?
I remember Sean, who was the director of it, he did. I thought he also had. I remember one of the inspiration was the Nun, which I was like, okay. But yeah, I'll have to see. I feel strongly, like the way you're talking about it, I'm like, I feel like, yeah, they must be
yeah, there's a lot of
parallels.
similarities, so,
right?
yeah. But speaking of The Nun too, even I did go see it in theaters, and yeah, it was pretty good. I don't know. I'll stand by the Conjuring universe. If there's a series of movies or a franchise of movies to recommend for horror movies, if you want a good thrill, just like good spooky movie to watch, they're all pretty decent. Like the stories themselves within, just like the scariness of it, are pretty good. Like it's almost like an adventure, I guess, in a sense. Like you still get that kind of, adventurous theme behind it all, which is nice.
So stay very far away is what I'm hearing. If you think they're spooky, then for me it's gonna be off the charts, and I'm gonna be like, I'm being myself in my bed tonight.
Right?
Sorry, it's gonna happen.
But then, the other I guess you could count it as spooky. It's not like crazy spooky, but the other one I've been watching is Wednesday on Netflix.
It's got spooky vibes.
It's got spooky vibes, yeah. Addams Family are in the realm of Halloween, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But obviously more kid-friendly.
I guess. I don't know if the original intention of the Addams Family was to be kid-friendly.
Well, I know it apparently started off as a comic strip.
Oh, yeah, I guess
you're
right. Yeah.
Wild to me. I was like, oh.
Yeah, because they've been around since the 60s.
Yeah. Very long time. Very long time. But yeah, I heard a lot of people really liked it, which meant I was like, I'm going to stay away from a hot minute.
Right? From all the hype? Yeah. But once
the hype died down a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. But once I discovered the creators of Smallville were the ones who did Wednesday, they had actually been on Michael Rosenbaum's podcast talking about it and kind of talking about their experiences contrasting and comparing from Smallville to Wednesday. It was just neat hearing them talk about like everything that they did with it, and working with Tim Burton, and how I guess like they had always wanted to see if Tim Burton would be interested in doing it because it was right up his alley, but people were like laughing at them, being like, he doesn't direct TV, you'll never get him, he'll say no. And then I guess they sent him the script for it and he was like, yeah, I'm down, let's do it. And they're like, okay. Yeah,
silly people, silly
right?
naysayers.
But yeah, no, it's surprisingly pretty good. I've been enjoying it. It's got, like I was telling you, it's kind of got like a she gives off a Sherlock Holmes vibe where she's very intelligent. She knows a lot of things, but she's like the classic Wednesday Addams character that you know her by. But yeah, that's kind of like her like the adventure she goes on in this is like she's trying to solve this mystery that the school's trying to cover up, and so she's got her little gang with her, but then she's also dealing with, like, they kind of tie this thing where she's dealing with, like, family drama, too, and that's why she's away at this boarding school for spooky creatures, I guess. Yeah. It's pretty good. I enjoy it so far.
Nice. Maybe I'll have to take a peek somehow in between everything else I'm trying to do.
Right?
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I was trying to remember, what movie were you watching and you were like, guess the horror film? And I was like, oh, it's The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
Oh, yes. That was a Sleepy Hollow, another Tim Burton movie, actually.
Right. See, that's the problem. I make funny ones and I can't remember what it actually was.
Well, because I think we watched Sleepy Hollow in school, didn't we? I feel like I showed it to you.
I feel like that's highly possible, but I remember that was the one, because that has Johnny Depp and shit in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I know I've watched that when I was a child.
Right.
And that was a funny experience, because I was like, it was me and four girls, and when it came to like the opening scene when he's gonna chop the guy's head off, two of the girls like hid their faces, and me and this other girl like, they're not gonna show it, and then chop, and we're like, oh my god, they showed it, oh my god, just kidding, I remember that being very terrifying, but I'm sure if I went back now I'd be like, all right.
I mean, it's
nothing.
It's still pretty spooky. Like you gotta give him credit. Like for the effects and stuff, it still holds up today. It's still definitely one of my top 10 favorites, along with the Conjuring movies for sure. Just like story wise, special effects, like everything still to this day holds up. They're like we were talking about earlier. There's some scary movies from older like back in the day that they don't quite make it still. Like you can tell it's a little corny and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, this one's definitely still holds up pretty good.
Good to know. Good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've learned more about Kendra. Her favorite things.
My favorite things.
And your favorite things. All right, Cinema Peeps. That'll do it for today's episode. But thank you so much for listening in. I don't know if you would like to subscribe to Two Pretty Cool Gals, we would really appreciate it. And if you want to leave a little likesy on the video, we'd also super appreciate it.
Heck yeah.
And
stay tuned for more Spooky Month.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do at least a couple more. Yeah, we're gonna do a couple more, and then we'll try to finish off the year off strong, because then we'll have Hallmark and we'll be ready to go.
Woo! Ready to go. I'm stoked.
But anyways, guys, watch all the content, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Monkey.
Monkey.
Oh.
Come on, Zoom.
We do not
And
get the
slide.
Zoom.